Darkest Hour is a movie about the first month of Winston Churchill's time as Prime Minister in 1940. And it really deals with how close Britain came to making a peace deal with Nazi Germany. And so that's the kind of story in a nutshell. Thematically, it's kind of about leadership and doubt and a crisis of confidence, and how Winston rose above the difficulties and led the country to victory. I think the script was a portrait of a very multifaceted human being. The important thing is that he was a human being, and that when one allows an audience and yourself to engage with him as a human being, then you can understand the true qualities of his leadership, and how that might inspire future leaders, inspire us all. I think about 50% of the movie takes place in the war rooms, if not more. And we wanted this kind of claustrophobic atmosphere, this kind of intense pressure on these people, but also this sense of sort of make, do and mend. There's nothing high-tech about the war rooms, and I find that extraordinary when you think about running this huge war. People were working with quite basic materials. The maps up on the walls had kind of drawing pins in them, and the German front was signified by a line of drawing pins and some string tied around them. And I find that kind of impressive and moving as well. One of the interesting things for me about the story is that it's to some extent about Winston's disconnection and then growing connection with the British people. To some extent, he lived in a fairly rarefied environment. And to be able to lead the British people, he had to step out of that and connect with the men and women in the street. And so Elizabeth Layton, his secretary, who's a girl from Lavender Hill, South London, allowed him the opportunity to make contact with people, and hear their concerns, and understand the repercussions, the effects of these enormous decisions he was making on the lives of ordinary people. Gary more than delivered on this movie. He blew my mind on a very regular basis. But at the same time, having kind of put him on a pedestal as being, a god, what I discovered was someone who was very interested in collaboration. I kind of thought that he might just do it all himself, and that I'd get I'd get on with everything else. But he's a great collaborator. He's someone who wants to discuss. He wants to take direction, and that was really exciting and meant that that I feel we created this movie together. Stephen Delane plays Viscount Halifax, and Stephen is an extraordinarily rigorous actor, and every word that comes out of Stephen's mouth has a kind of moral gravitas, really. And I really wanted someone who could persuade me of their argument, so that when he is opposing Churchill, one listens to him and one possibly thinks that he might have a point. And that was really important. We didn't want to make a film that was just like, oh, Churchill's great, look. But actually to hear the arguments, and what I think is really important about Churchill is that he heard the arguments, and that he was a leader who listened and considered other people's points of view and then made a decision. And that's really important. And I wanted the audience in some of those, those head-on battles between Gary and Stephen, between Churchill and Halifax, to listen to Halifax and consider his position carefully, and consider the possibility that he might be right.